The discovery. Dr. Maya Patel stared at the quantum interference patterns on her monitor, her dark eyes reflecting the blue glow of the screen. Something wasn't right. The wave functions weren't collapsing as expected, they were maintaining coherence far longer than any known quantum system should allow. "James, are you seeing this?" she called to her research partner, unable to tear her eyes away from the display. The patterns were almost hypnotic, maintaining their structure with impossible precision. James Martinez looked up from his own workstation at the Berkeley Quantum Research Center, his usually relaxed demeanor replaced by intense focus. That's not possible," he muttered, rolling his chair closer to Maya's station. "The decoherence time is off the charts." Maya ran her fingers through her curly black hair, a habit that surfaced whenever she encountered something that challenged her understanding of physics. "It's like something, or someone, is stabilizing the quantum state externally." The implications were staggering. Quantum systems were notoriously fragile, breaking down into classical behavior almost instantly due to environmental interference. But these patterns, they were being maintained artificially. As if responding to their observation, the interference pattern suddenly shifted, forming complex geometric shapes that couldn't be random. Maya's heart raced as she watched symbols appear in the quantum noise, perfect circles, triangles, and more complex forms she couldn't name. "James, start recording everything. This isn't random noise." Her fingers flew across the keyboard, initiating every measurement protocol they had. The patterns continued evolving, becoming more complex, more deliberate. Then came the numbers. Prime numbers, appearing in sequence, too precise to be coincidence. "It's a message," Maya whispered, her voice barely audible over the hum of laboratory equipment. The next 12 hours were a blur of activity. Maya and James worked without breaks, documenting everything, cross-referencing the patterns with every known mathematical sequence and physical constant. Other researchers gathered around their station, drawn by the unprecedented readings. It was past midnight when Maya noticed something else, a subtle resonance in the lab's background radiation. She'd missed it earlier, but now it seemed obvious, like a song you couldn't unhear once you noticed it. "The pattern isn't just in the quantum interference," she announced, pulling up multiple data streams. "It's everywhere, in the electromagnetic spectrum, in the cosmic ray detection data, even in the seismic background noise. We've been swimming in it our whole lives, but our instruments weren't sensitive enough to detect it until now." James looked up from his calculations, his face pale. "Maya, these patterns, they're forming some kind of coordinate system. Three-dimensional space mapped onto 11 dimensions." Before Maya could respond, every screen in the lab flickered simultaneously. The quantum interference pattern dissolved into a single point of light, then expanded into a holographic projection that hung in the air before them. The projection showed a humanoid figure, but clearly not human. Its form was ethereal, almost crystalline, with features that seemed to shift and flow like liquid mercury. When it spoke, its voice resonated not through the air, but directly in their minds. "Greetings, Dr. Patel. We have been waiting for someone to notice us. Your quantum resonance detector has finally reached the threshold of perception. We are the Luminarii, and we have shared your world for millennia." Maya stood transfixed, her scientific mind racing to process what she was seeing. The being's form seemed to violate several laws of physics, yet here it was, as real as anything she'd ever observed. "Your species stands at a crossroads," the being continued. "Your quantum technology has advanced enough to detect our presence, but this achievement brings both opportunity and danger. There are others watching, others who would prefer humanity remain ignorant of the greater universe." James stepped forward, his voice steady despite the extraordinary situation. "Why reveal yourselves now?" The crystalline being's form rippled, its colors shifting through spectrums beyond human perception. "Because we need your help as much as you need ours. Humanity possesses something unique, a capability that even we, with all our technological advancement, cannot replicate." Maya found her voice at last. What could we possibly have that an advanced species like yours would need? The being's response sent chills down her spine. Chaos, Dr. Patel. Beautiful, brilliant chaos. Your minds operate on the edge of order and entropy, generating solutions we could never conceive. The challenges ahead require both our strengths combined. As the being spoke, Maya noticed more patterns emerging in the lab's instruments, data streams that revealed glimpses of a hidden world existing alongside their own. The Luminariae weren't just visitors, they were Earth's silent guardians, and they had been here all along. The discovery would change everything, but Maya already knew this was just the beginning. Humanity was about to step onto a much larger stage, and she stood at the threshold of that transformation. The quantum patterns continued their dance across her screens, now carrying the weight of a universe's worth of possibilities. We don't have much time, the Luminariae being warned. The others are coming. We must prepare. With those words, Maya realized that her life's work hadn't just led to a scientific breakthrough, it had opened the door to humanity's greatest adventure. Hidden truth. The underground facility beneath Berkeley's quantum lab complex stretched far deeper than Maya had ever imagined possible. As she followed the Luminariae guide, who had introduced itself as Nexus, through crystalline corridors that seemed to respond to their presence, she struggled to process the magnitude of what she was seeing. Your kind has always suspected something, Nexus explained, its crystalline form casting prismatic patterns on the walls. Every unexplained phenomenon, every leap in human innovation that seemed to come from nowhere, we were there, watching, occasionally nudging. James walked beside Maya, documenting everything with a small device the Luminariae had given them. The pyramids? He asked, half joking. Human achievement, Nexus replied, its tone carrying what might have been amusement. Though we did help stabilize the ground beneath them. Your species has always been remarkably resourceful, even with limited tools. They entered a vast chamber that Maya's mind struggled to comprehend. The space seemed to fold in on itself, with multiple levels existing in impossible geometries. Holographic displays showed real-time data from around the globe, weather patterns, tectonic movements, and something else, something that made her quantum physics background tingle with recognition. What you're seeing, Nexus said, gesturing to the strange patterns, is the quantum fabric of reality itself. We monitor these patterns to protect both our species from incursions. Incursions? Maya stepped closer to one of the displays, watching as complex patterns shifted and flowed. From what? The chamber darkened slightly, and a new hologram appeared in the center. It showed what looked like tears in space itself, dark rifts that seemed to devour light. The Void Hunters, Nexus explained. They exist between realities, feeding on technological civilizations. They're drawn to quantum advancement like predators to prey. James let out a low whistle. And our quantum experiments are like a beacon, Nexus confirmed. Your species is approaching a critical threshold of quantum manipulation. The hunters have noticed. That's why we had to reveal ourselves now. Maya watched as the hologram showed multiple tears appearing around Earth's atmosphere. How long do we have? Months, perhaps weeks. Nexus moved to a control interface that responded to its mere presence. We've been preparing defenses for centuries, but the hunters have evolved. Our traditional methods may not be enough this time. What makes us so special? Maya asked, thinking back to Nexus's earlier words about humanity's chaos. Why do you need our help? The chamber shifted again, displaying historical events, moments of human innovation, adaptation, and survival against impossible odds. Your species thinks differently, Nexus explained. Where we see patterns, you see possibilities. Where we follow logic, you make intuitive leaps. The hunters have learned to predict our responses, but humans are wonderfully unpredictable. A new figure entered the chamber, another Luminariae, but with a form that seemed older, more complex. I am Elder Vex, it announced. And we need to show you something else. The elder gestured, and part of the chamber wall became transparent, revealing a massive device that seemed to pulse with energy. The quantum bridge, Vex explained. Built by our ancestors, powered by the fundamental forces of reality itself. It's our greatest achievement, and our greatest vulnerability. If the hunters seize control of it, they could use it to bring their entire population here. Nexus finished. Earth would be their first conquest, but not their last. Maya studied the device, her mind already racing with possibilities. The quantum patterns we detected in our lab, they're bleed through from this, aren't they? Yes, Vex confirmed. Your experiment created a harmonic resonance with the bridge. That's why we chose this moment to contact you. We need human minds to help us modify the bridge's defenses in ways the hunters won't expect. James had been quiet, processing everything. Now he spoke up. You said humans are unpredictable, that we see possibilities you don't. What if we could use the bridge ourselves? Turn it into a weapon. The two luminarii exchanged what seemed like a concerned glance. The energies involved would be impossible for human physiology to control, Vex said. Maybe directly, Maya interjected, her excitement building as ideas began flowing. But what if we combined our approaches? Your technology with our quantum experiments? We were able to maintain quantum coherence in ways you didn't expect. Maybe we could apply that principle to the bridge itself. The chamber's lights pulsed in response to her words, and Maya realized the entire facility was somehow alive, responding to their conversation. Nexus's form brightened. This is exactly why we need you. You see connections we would never consider. We'll need more humans, Maya said, looking at the complexity of the bridge. Scientists, engineers, theorists, people who can think outside conventional boundaries. And we'll need them quickly, Vex added, bringing up new data streams that showed the tiers in space growing larger. The hunters are becoming more aggressive. They sense something has changed. Maya looked at James, seeing the same determination in his eyes that she felt. They stood at the intersection of two civilizations, facing a threat beyond imagination. But instead of fear, she felt a surge of excitement. This was what science was meant for, solving the impossible, protecting humanity, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Show us everything, she said to their alien allies. Every piece of data, every theory, every failed attempt. We'll find a way to stop them. That's what humans do best, we adapt, we improvise, and we overcome. The chamber hummed with energy as Nexus and Vex began their detailed briefing. Above them, through layers of earth and concrete, the quantum patterns in Maya's lab continued their dance, now carrying messages between worlds. The hidden truth had been revealed, but the real work was just beginning. The first stand. 3 weeks after the revelation, the underground facility had transformed into a hub of frenetic activity. Maya stood at the central console, surrounded by a mix of human scientists and luminarii observers. The air crackled with tension as they watched the quantum interference patterns growing more erratic. Another tier forming over the Pacific, announced Dr. Yuki Tanaka, their atmospheric physicist. Her fingers danced across the holographic interface the luminarii had modified for human use. This one's bigger than the others. Maya studied the data streams, noting how the quantum fluctuations had changed over the past week. The Void Hunters were no longer just testing Earth's defenses, they were preparing for something bigger. Energy signature is different this time, James called from his station. After countless hours working with luminarii technology, he developed an almost intuitive understanding of their quantum detection systems. It's like they're using the smaller tiers to calibrate something. Nexus materialized beside them, its crystalline form pulsing with urgent patterns. They're learning from each attempt. Your hypothesis was correct, Dr. Patel. The hunters are adapting their approach based on our defensive responses. Maya nodded grimly. The hunters' ability to learn and adapt had proven greater than anyone anticipated. Traditional luminariae defenses, based on perfect mathematical harmonies, were becoming less effective with each encounter. The enemy was learning their patterns, predicting their responses. Then let's show them something they can't predict, she said, pulling up the prototype interface she'd been developing. Yuki, James, it's time to test the chaos protocol. The assembled luminariae shifted uneasily. Even after weeks of collaboration, Maya's approach to quantum manipulation challenged their fundamental understanding of reality. Where they sought perfect order, she introduced controlled chaos, quantum fluctuations that followed human intuition rather than mathematical precision. The bridge cannot sustain random fluctuations, Elder Vex warned, appearing in their midst. The energies involved aren't random, Maya interrupted, her voice firm. They're human. Every operator's quantum signature, every decision, every intuitive leap, they create patterns too complex for the hunters to predict because they emerge from human consciousness itself. She turned to the assembled human scientists. Everyone to your stations. Remember your training. Don't try to control the quantum flow, feel it, guide it, like we practiced. Across the chamber, 20 of Earth's brightest minds took their positions at specially designed interfaces. Each station connected directly to the quantum bridge, allowing human thought patterns to influence its enormous energies. Void tear expanding, Yuki reported, her voice tense. Multiple signatures detected within the rift. Maya took a deep breath, placing her hands on the primary control interface. The crystal surface felt warm, alive with possibility. Begin sequence. James, start the harmonic resonance. The chamber filled with a deep thrumming as James activated the modified quantum resonators. Unlike the pure tones the luminariae used, these produced complex harmonies based on human music theory, jazz improvisations translated into quantum mathematics. Hunters emerging, Nexus announced. The main display showed dark shapes sliding through the Pacific tear, their forms seeming to bend reality around them. Their energy pattern matches no known configuration. Good, Maya said, surprising the luminariae. That means they don't know what we're about to do either. She opened her neural link to the bridge, feeling its vast energies responding to her presence. Now, 20 human minds engaged with the quantum bridge simultaneously, each contributing their unique chaos to its ordered energies. Maya felt the power surge through her, raw and wild and beautiful. Where luminariae precision had created predictable patterns, human intuition spawned countless possibilities. The bridge's energy output soared, transformed by human consciousness into something entirely new. Reality rippled around the facility as quantum forces responded to emotional rather than mathematical input. Fear, determination, hope, creativity, human feelings became quantum variables, generating patterns no algorithm could predict. Hunter vessels attempting to establish dimensional anchor, Yuki called out, her voice strained as she channeled her own energy into the system. They're hesitating. Maya watched through the bridge's sensors as the dark shapes paused their advance, probing the chaotic quantum field surrounding Earth. For the first time, they faced a defense they couldn't analyze and predict. Energy signatures destabilizing, James reported, excitement breaking through his professional tone. The hunters are losing their grip on our reality. The dark shapes began to twist and fragment, unable to maintain their form in the face of human-guided quantum chaos. One by one, they were pulled back into their dimensional tear, their careful calculations overwhelmed by the sheer unpredictability of human consciousness. Tier is collapsing, Yuki announced. They're retreating. The chamber erupted in cheers as the sensors confirmed their victory. Maya released her connection to the bridge, feeling drained but triumphant. Around her, the other scientists were doing the same, exhausted but alive with the knowledge that they had succeeded. Nexus approached her, its crystalline form glowing with what she had learned to recognize as amazement. In all our centuries of fighting the hunters, we never conceived of using chaos as a defense. Your species continues to surprise us. That's what humans do, Maya said, allowing herself a small smile. We see possibilities where others see problems. But this was only their first wave, they'll be back. And they'll try to adapt to our new defense, James added, joining them at the central console. We'll need to keep innovating, keep surprising them. Elder Vex materialized, studying the quantum readings with intense focus. Perhaps, the ancient being said slowly, it is time to show you the deeper mysteries of the bridge. If human chaos can achieve this, there may be other possibilities we have never dared to explore. Maya looked around the chamber at her fellow scientists, seeing the same determination and curiosity in their eyes that she felt. They had proven that humanity could contribute more than just scientific knowledge, they could change the very nature of reality itself. We're ready, she said, speaking for all of them. Show us everything. The hunters won't expect what happens when human chaos and luminary order truly combine. Above them, the quantum patterns swirled with new possibilities, human and alien technologies merging into something unprecedented. The first stand against the Void Hunters had succeeded, but Maya knew this was just the beginning. The real test would come when the enemy returned, and this time, they would be ready. Breaking point. The victory celebration lasted exactly 6 hours before everything started falling apart. Maya stood in the bridge chamber, watching as the quantum readings spiraled into patterns she'd never seen before. The Void Hunters hadn't retreated, they'd evolved. They're not just adapting to our chaos protocol, James said, his face illuminated by the pulsing emergency lights. They're using it against us. Every human-generated pattern we send out comes back twisted, corrupted. The main display showed tiers forming simultaneously across 3 continents. Unlike the previous clean-edged rifts, these new portals writhed with chaotic energy, a dark mirror of their own defensive techniques. They've learned to replicate human unpredictability, Elder Vex announced, its crystalline form darkened with concern. Our greatest advantage has become a vulnerability. Maya felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on her. The hunters had taken their defensive innovation and turned it into a weapon. Now, the very chaos they'd used to drive the enemy back was being used to rip holes in reality. Not replicate, she said suddenly, studying the pattern mutations. They're reflecting it, like a quantum echo. Which means. She turned to Nexus. We need to shut down all human interfaces. Now. That would leave us defenseless, Yuki protested from her station. The standard luminary defenses aren't enough anymore. Better defenseless than actively helping them, Maya countered. Every human thought pattern we generate is giving them more ammunition. Before anyone could respond, a new alarm blared through the facility. The main display shifted to show the quantum bridge itself, its crystalline structure vibrating with unstable energy. Multiple breaches detected in the bridge's containment field, a luminary technician announced. The human-generated patterns are creating resonance cascades throughout the system. The chamber erupted into chaos as humans and luminary rushed to contain the damage. Maya watched in horror as the bridge's quantum signature began to fragment, decades of perfect luminary engineering corrupted by the very human chaos they'd introduced. This is precisely why we maintain strict protocols for millennia, a new voice cut through the chaos. A tall luminary Maya had never seen before materialized in the center of the chamber. Council member Arcturus, it announced, its form radiating authority. This experiment in human collaboration ends now. You can't just shut us out, James protested, stepping forward. We're all in this together. Together? Arcturus's form pulsed with cold light. Your species' involvement has compromised our most sacred technology. The bridge's containment fields are failing. If it collapses, the dimensional barriers between realities will shatter. Maya studied the bridge's readings, her mind racing. Something wasn't right about the pattern degradation. It was too perfect, too precise in its chaos. Wait, she called out, moving to the central console. These aren't random failures. Look at the harmonic progression. She pulled up multiple data streams, highlighting specific patterns. The bridge isn't being corrupted by human chaos, it's being sabotaged. Someone's using our chaos patterns as cover for a targeted attack. The chamber fell silent as her words sank in. Elder Vex moved to verify her analysis, its ancient form flowing through the data streams. She's right, Vex confirmed after a tense moment. These degradation patterns contain embedded code sequences. Luminarii code. Arcturus's form flickered slightly, a gesture Maya had learned to recognize as surprise or concern. Impossible. No Luminarii would. Would what? Maya interrupted. Sacrifice the bridge to stop human involvement. The hunters aren't reflecting our chaos, they're being helped by someone who wants us to fail. James joined her at the console, his fingers flying over the interface. The sabotage patterns all originate from a single node in the bridge's control network. If we can isolate it. A burst of energy suddenly erupted from the bridge, knocking several people off their feet. Maya watched in horror as the containment fields began to collapse in sequence. Full shutdown, now, she shouted. Disconnect all interfaces, human and Luminarii. That will trigger a catastrophic quantum cascade, Arcturus warned. The bridge will reset to its base configuration, Maya finished. Purging all external influences, including the sabotage code. Basic quantum mechanics, sometimes you have to collapse the wave function to start fresh. Elder Vex moved to the master control panel. Do it, the ancient being commanded. Full shutdown protocol. The chamber plunged into darkness as the bridge's energy signature winked out. For a terrifying moment, reality itself seemed to hold its breath. Then, slowly, the crystalline structure began to pulse with its original, pure light. Bridge systems restoring to default parameters, Yuki reported. Containment field stabilizing. But, we've lost all the modifications we made. The chaos protocols, the human interfaces, everything's gone. Maya nodded grimly. Better than losing everything. But now we know, there's someone among the Luminarii working with the hunters. Someone willing to destroy the bridge rather than let humans help defend it. Arcturus's form had darkened considerably. These accusations are supported by data, Elder Vex interrupted. Data that proves we face enemies on both sides of the dimensional barrier. The question now is, how do we proceed? Maya looked around the chamber at both humans and Luminarii, seeing the trust they'd built starting to fracture. We rebuild, she said firmly. But this time, we don't just combine our technologies, we combine our investigation methods. Human intuition and Luminarii precision working together to find the traitor before they can strike again. And if we fail? Arcturus challenged. We won't, Maya replied, meeting the council members' gaze. Because now we know what we're really fighting. It's not just the hunters, and it's not just sabotage. It's fear, fear of change, fear of chaos, fear of what happens when two civilizations truly learn to work together. The bridge pulsed with renewed energy, its light neither purely Luminarii nor influenced by human chaos, but something in between. They had survived the first internal attack, but Maya knew the real challenges were just beginning. Somewhere in the facility, a traitor was watching, waiting for another chance to strike. And beyond the dimensional barriers, the Void Hunters gathered, preparing for their next assault. The breaking point had come and gone, leaving them stronger but warier. Now they faced a race against time, to rebuild their defenses, to root out the saboteur, and to prove that humanity and Luminarii could overcome their differences before it was too late. Rising together. The facility's lower levels had become a war room. Holographic displays showed dimensional tiers opening across the globe, while the rebuilt quantum bridge hummed with combined human and Luminarii energy signatures. Maya hadn't slept in 36 hours, but adrenaline kept her focused as she studied the latest data patterns. The saboteur's signal appeared again, James reported, highlighting a series of quantum fluctuations. Same encryption pattern, but this time we were ready. Maya nodded, watching as their trace program tracked the signal through the bridge's systems. After 3 weeks of preparation, they had developed a hybrid detection method, luminary precision guided by human intuition. The traitor wouldn't be able to hide much longer. Signal topology matches council member Arcturus's private quantum frequency, Yuki announced, her voice tight with tension. 97% correlation. The chamber fell silent. Arcturus had been the most vocal opponent of human involvement, but actual betrayal seemed unthinkable. The council member had access to every level of the bridge's systems. We need to move now, Maya decided, activating the facility-wide communication channel. Security teams to the bridge chamber. Elder Vex, we need. A massive surge of energy cut through her words as every display in the facility suddenly flared with blinding light. When Maya's vision cleared, she saw Arcturus standing before the bridge, its crystalline form pulsing with dark energy. I had hoped to complete this quietly, the council member said, its voice resonating with new harmonics. A simple accident with the human interfaces, regrettable but conclusive proof that our species should remain separate. You're working with the hunters, Maya realized, seeing how the dark energy patterns matched the dimensional tiers. Why? They're trying to destroy both our worlds. Arcturus's form shifted, growing larger, more angular. They're trying to restore order. Your chaos, your unpredictability, it's a cancer in the quantum fabric of reality. The hunters offered a solution, they would remove humanity's influence, and in exchange, our world would be spared. You actually believe them? Elder Vex materialized nearby, its ancient form blazing with anger. The hunters consume everything they touch. They would devour our world the moment humanity fell. Better oblivion than corruption, Arcturus declared. Waves of dark energy pulsed from its form, interfacing with the bridge. The hunters showed me how to modify the bridge's core functions. When the dimensional barriers fall, they will cleanse this reality of human chaos. Maya watched in horror as the bridge's energy signature began to shift, its pure light taking on the same dark resonance that characterized the hunter's tears. But something about the pattern seemed familiar. James, she called out, never taking her eyes off the bridge. The hunter signatures we recorded, what was their primary frequency? James pulled up the data, then went pale. It's a perfect match for the bridge's natural resonance. They didn't teach Arcturus to modify it, they learned how to exploit it from him. You showed them exactly how to corrupt it, Maya said to Arcturus. Every time you helped them test our defenses, they were actually learning to hijack luminary technology. Doubt flickered across Arcturus's form, but only for a moment. You're trying to confuse me with human chaos logic. The hunters will bring order. A new alarm blared as multiple dimensional tiers began forming directly inside the facility. Dark shapes emerged, their forms more solid than ever before. The hunters had finally breached their inner defenses. Full emergency protocols. Elder Vex commanded. All personnel to battle stations. But Maya saw something in the hunters' movements, a pattern she recognized from their earlier encounters. Wait. Look at how they're moving. It's not random. Indeed, the hunters were flowing through the facility with precise, mathematical movements. Too precise. They're following luminary battle formations, she realized. Everything they learned from Arcturus, they're using pure order against you. The first hunter reached a group of luminary defenders, its dark energy easily overwhelming their perfectly structured defenses. One by one, the crystalline beings fell, their ordered patterns no match for the corrupted versions of their own techniques. The bridge. James shouted. They're heading for the core. Maya's mind raced. The hunters had learned to counter luminary order, and they'd learned to reflect human chaos. But maybe that was the answer, they'd learned to counter each approach separately. Everyone listen, she called out over the facility's network. Stop trying to fight them with pure order or pure chaos. We need true hybridization, now. She reached for the bridge's controls, feeling its energy respond to her touch. Around the chamber, humans and loyal luminarii did the same, connecting to the ancient device. Let the patterns flow, Maya guided them. Don't try to control them completely, but don't let them run wild either. Find the balance. The bridge's light began to change, neither purely orderly nor chaotic. Human emotion and intuition wove through luminarii mathematical precision, creating something entirely new. The hybrid energy spread through the facility, touching the hunter forms. The dark beings faltered, their movements becoming erratic. They had learned to counter order and chaos separately, but this fusion of both defied their understanding. The dimensional tiers began to fluctuate. Impossible, Arcturus whispered, watching its allies struggle. This violates all known laws of quantum physics. That's the point, Maya replied, maintaining her connection to the bridge. True innovation happens at the edge of what we think is possible. Humanity and luminarii together, we're not just combining our strengths, we're creating something entirely new. The hybrid energy crescendoed, guided by dozens of minds working in concert. Where the hunters had expected either mathematical precision or wild chaos, they found an ever-shifting balance of both. Their forms began to dissolve, pulled back through their own tears. The bridge. Yuki called out. Its core resonance is changing, the hunter corruption is being purged. Maya felt the shift through her connection, the ancient device wasn't just being cleansed, it was evolving. Human and luminarii energy signatures merged at the quantum level, creating a new form of power neither species could have achieved alone. The last hunter vanished as the dimensional tiers sealed themselves. Arcturus stood alone, its dark energy fading. You don't understand what you've done, the council member said quietly. Order and chaos were never meant to mix. No, Elder Vex corrected, moving to stand beside Maya. We never dared to try. But look at what we've achieved together. The bridge pulsed with its new energy, stronger than ever before. Around the chamber, humans and luminarii worked side by side, their differences forgotten in the wake of their shared victory. We'll need to maintain this balance, Maya said, looking at the hybrid patterns that now flowed through their systems. The hunters will be back, and they'll try to adapt again. Let them try, James replied with a smile. They'll never be able to predict what happens when two civilizations stop fighting their differences and start embracing them instead. The facility hummed with renewed purpose as cleanup and repairs began. Maya watched the quantum displays, seeing human and luminarii energy signatures dancing together in endless new combinations. They had faced extinction and emerged stronger, not by clinging to separation, but by daring to combine their greatest gifts. Above ground, the sun rose on a world forever changed, a world where order and chaos had finally learned not just to coexist, but to create something greater than either could have imagined alone.